I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll stand for the pledge. Josh on board. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the minutes, August 12th, 2024, August 20th, 2024, notice of special meeting, Board Policies Committee, August 26th, 2024, record of attendance, August 27th, record of attendance, August 28th, notice of special meeting, and September 9th, notice of a special board meeting. Bills, financial report, employment, Judy Barden, transportation bus driver, Sylvia Brown, food service department, Kylie Dockery, substitute teacher, paraprofessional, Richard Gobo, maintenance custodial department, Carrie Grosvenor, transportation department bus aide, Samuel Meter, maintenance custodial department, 2024, 2025, supplemental assignments, returning substitute teachers, paraprofessionals, resignations, Angel Arpseal, transportation bus driver, Carrie Grosner, maintenance custodial department, Jenna Johnson, food service department, cashier, delivery driver, effective September 27th, 2024, Jacob Schultz, St. Mary's Middle School, 8th grade basketball coach. And that's it.
Also motion along with those adjustments that we discussed were attended to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open forum. Is there anybody on the list to speak to the board in open forum?
Oh, right here. Okay.
So we got Mr. Tucker. Did you just double up because you're speaking on the agenda?
Yeah, I make sure, just kind of a safety measure.
Okay. So you just want to go ahead and use the time that you're already on the agenda?
Yeah, I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Crandall's safety plan C, which,
That was on the executive session. I
okay,
may have got the wrong item on there.
all right,
I wanted to speak to the CCW deal.
okay. Is it 3 or 5 minutes, Tana?
5.
Okay. So you'll be up.
I won't need 5 minutes, so you can make up for it in time. I just want to say thank you guys for putting out that survey on the CCW deal and for taking it on. It was very easy to look at the policy, and I appreciate whoever put that, if it was Tana or Miss Wrench, put the policy in the link. That was very easy to open up and look at. So I definitely support it. It looked good, the precursory deal. So I would just encourage you guys to continue down that road and hopefully get that done. I think it solves a lot of problems, and it saves a lot of worry and heartache for a lot of people, for their kids, knowing that there's at least somebody there that can get there a little bit quicker than maybe even the sheriff's deputies, especially at upriver and stuff out where it's more remote. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hand that back to Tana. Okay, presentation agenda. Superintendent Blaine County School District Jim Fowley, cell phone use. Is he on board?
Hi, Mr. Fowdy.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Thanks for being here.
Hey, no problem. Sorry, I'm getting an echo. like 15% all the way up to 60%. And that's considering, taking out weekends, holidays, evenings, nights, etc. And then we work the math problem, and the answer to the question is actually about 13%. So about the students are in school about 13% of the year. And then if we take out passing periods at the secondary level, recess at the elementary, lunch, we're left with about 9% of the calendar year that we have students in a space when we can teach them. And that assumes that students attend 100% of the year. And, in Blaine County, we're probably down around 92, 93% of the year. So it's even less than 9%. We wanted to make sure that nothing was distracting our students from their learning, and nothing was getting in the way of their opportunity to maximize their potential. And so we implemented this policy a year ago, but it didn't just happen on day one without a lot of front loading. And so what I mean by that is one of the rules that we try to live by is no surprises. So my board doesn't like surprises. I don't like surprises. Our families don't like surprises. So our policy says that if you have a cell phone or a smartphone out during the instructional day, then it's going to be confiscated. And by confiscated, what happens is the classroom teacher makes a phone call to the office, says, I'm sending Jim Fowdy down to the office to turn his phone. Then I go down to the office, they turn my phone. But I call my parent or guardian from the office and say, hey, I made a mistake, I have my phone out, and I need you to pick it up after school today or any day hereafter. So the student is doing the heavy lifting when the student makes a mistake. We don't want our staff or administration to do the heavy lifting on this. And so we started messaging this last summer, about 6 weeks before school started. We sent the copy of the full policy to all the families. We sent a letter. I sent a friendly back to school letter out, talking about the importance of instructional time and how limited it really is. And then we, an advisory period on the first days of school, and went through the policy with all the students. And so we have 3 high schools. We have an alternative high school with 45 students. That conversation just looked like all the students in the hallway having a conversation. Wood River High School, 1,000 students. That was advisory with each teacher having a conversation with their the students in class. And then down in Cary's a 1A school. The student body president got before his peers with about maybe 65 students all together and read through the policy and then looked at his peers and said, we can do this. And so there were 2 big surprises for us. One was we assumed we were going to have to confiscate about 10% of the phones on a daily basis. So we were ready to confiscate 100 phones at Wood River High School. We had file folders ready down at the office. It turned out we did not. It was close to about 1% district-wide. And then the second big surprise was about 6 weeks into the year, students started reporting to their parents, to their teachers, to their counselor, their administration, that they were grateful for the policy change because I think one quote was, I didn't know I needed a break until I had one. And so we're going into year 2 and somebody asked, well, did you ever consider just implementing this in grades 6 through 12 since elementary schools typically don't have cell phones? And the answer is no. We went, this is absurd, but pre-K 12, everybody. And the reason for that is that invariably at some point there are elementary kids that have a phone. And so it's just a reminder in a teachable moment when that happens for all the kids in elementary. So then by the time they get to middle school, it's not a surprise. And then of course, by the time they get to high school, it's not a surprise. Teresa, that is kind of a high level overview there. I'm gonna unmute you and let me know if there's any questions.
Any-
No, I am,
No,
sorry, but
no.
we're on the.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is there any questions?
So there's no questions.
You guys? How about you, Josh? Are you good?
What's the severity of where you've had to have a repeat offender?
So great question. So that really few and far between, but when it happens, it's interesting. The response from parents are having to pick it up. And so their response has been, you know what? It's Monday. I'm not going to be able to get there until Friday. If it happens again, you know, it's going to take me a couple weeks to be able to swing by and pick that phone up. So, yeah, because the students absolutely don't want to be separated from the phone. So by, you know, kind of incrementally extending the length of time, that seems to have an effect.
Okay. Okay.
Question.
Brian McGregor.
Can we have
Ask
them?
a question regarding the cell
I'm
phone?
okay with that. I'm okay with that. You guys have a problem with that? I'm okay with that, please.
My question would be is, did you get the parents' support
Yeah.
on the kids, or did you have some pushback on the parents saying, no, my son or daughter needs that cell phone in case I need to get a hold of them?
Right. Yeah, so we had, basically, we have systems in place where we can get messages to kids as we have for 100 years. A parent needs to get a hold of the kid, their student, their child, their student. Absolutely, we can run messages to them or even have them come down to the office to take a phone call from their parent. I got 3 out of 3,200 kids. I got 3 emails pushing back on this, all from mothers of girls who were turning 18 that year, their senior year. And the tenor was the same. It was, you know, my daughter's 18, she should be able to make her own decisions. And our response was, you know, yes, she's 18 and she's going to be making a lot of her own decisions. And in fact, since she's 18, she can pick up her own. And we not only won't call you, but we can't call you. Student discipline when you're 18. So, but I said, you know, there are colleges, universities, and trade schools that have cell phone bans during instruction, because this is not about the age of the student. This is about a distraction from learning. And it was about, I think it was about sometime in the middle of July, I had this epiphany. I'll date myself. I went to elementary school in the 1970s. And when I think about this, yes, cell phones and smartphones are new. However, keeping something that might be a distraction in your backpack or put away has been around since teachers in classrooms. When I was a kid, it was make sure your Hot Wheels are in your backpack, or I'm gonna have to keep it in my desk until the end of the day or until parent-teacher conferences. Today, it's a cell phone. Cell phones are highly distracting.
Anybody else want a question?
Mr. Fowler, I think you also just want to re-stress when you talked at the leadership conference and with the principals and I, you attributed the fact that you messaged it for about a year before you implemented it, in terms of, to Brian's point about getting parents on board or talking about all those different venues on how families could get in touch with their child if we didn't have cell phones in the classroom.
So it wasn't a year.
Okay.
It was, it started messaging it about 6 weeks before school started last year. And it only takes about 6 weeks or less.
Okay.
But I think like if I was a district that wanted to implement it at the beginning of the school year, I would start my messaging in the middle of July. If I wanted to implement it this year, I would start my messaging November 1st. And but I wouldn't implement it until after the winter break.
Right.
Can I ask another question?
Please.
Have you seen an improvement in grades in the district?
Sorry. There we go. Test scores have improved, like on the state measures a little bit. Grades, I think it's too early to tell. The one measure that we're curious about is that okay, the short version is where someone falls asleep, your ability to sleep. Something about the blue screen. And so survey of our 6th through 12th graders last year, and 50% of them reported getting less than 7 hours of sleep a night. 50%. And then additionally, sleep is a protective factor for depression. And coincidentally, 50% of our 9th grade girls reported clinical signs of depression. It was about 20% for boys as freshmen, but the boys, it got worse by the time they became seniors. Girls, it got better, but still not less than 20%. So the question that we have is, we're going to re-administer the survey next month, and we're wondering if we're going to see any kind of improvement in terms of increasing the amount of sleep and or decreasing clinical signs of depression.
Board, do you have any other questions?
I do, but I'm just interested just to see this progress even more and what that might do for communication purposes, just for the factor of people learning, face to face and being able to have good etiquette in the way that they would communicate, being verbal, in person versus done by electronic devices, and how that might improve other things. Depression would be a big one. We had that huge session where we discussed that, where depression was a big deal here.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious. So
I had a,
Yeah,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say I appreciate the question.
I think it's a good deal. I think, probably wouldn't hurt all of us to figure out, yes, we can live and breathe without these in our pocket.
I did have a question regarding cell phones on your bus transportation routes. How do you handle that?
We opted not to. There we go. We opted not to regulate that simply from the standpoint that the vast majority of our routes only have the only adult on the route is the driver, and didn't want to put the driver in a position of having to enforce a policy and drive a bus and keep the kids safe on the road. So we don't regulate it on the bus. We don't regulate it before school. So if school starts at 8:30 and they're in the cafeteria at 8 o'clock, it's not regulated there. But from the minute that the instructional day starts until lunch, and then we're not regulating it during lunch, simply because we have an open campus and it'd be almost impossible to
makes
make
sense.
sure that everybody had their phones off. And then the other, sometimes people ask, should we invest in those expensive magnetic bags where you put your phone in at the beginning of the day and it's locked until the end of the day, and then the timer goes off and you can get your phone out. We didn't go there, mostly because we wanted the students to be empowered to do the right thing,
right,
and be responsible for themselves, and then shoulder the heavy lifting of the consequence when they made a mistake. And investing a bunch of money in expensive bags, really the students are going to figure out how to game that system, right? Like if I'm a kid and I want my phone and I want to make sure I don't have my phone taken away, the phone that goes into the special magnetic bag is not my real phone. It's the last phone I have. It's a dead phone right now.
so the games.
Okay.
Anybody else with any questions?
questions? You good? You good, Josh? Okay.
Thanks, Mr.
All
Guy.
right. Thank you very much.
Thanks
All
for
right.
taking time.
Thanks.
Have a good evening.
Appreciate you.
Have a good school year.
Feel free to email me if you have any follow-ups. I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks. And just a clarification, I'm sorry, but I had to go help the dog into my. That's all that matters. Yeah, we'll have our tech try and work on that. We'll keep rolling. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving on to, monthly building reports. Saber, Miss Arkush is
Oh,
not.
these are, sorry, I'll interrupt, sorry. These are just written monthly reports this, month, so nobody's presenting. However, if you have any questions, minus Ms. Arcus, she's with her dog.
Okay,
The principals are here to answer any questions. So are the department directors.
okay, well, I guess I'll just go through it. Anybody have any, questions about the high school?
How's the first 2 weeks going, man?
Awesome.
Good. Good kids are getting in the gear.
Good start.
Awesome.
Feels great to be back.
Good, man.
Good.
Everyone's feeling good. No issues.
Yeah, no issues.
Good.
You ready to ban cell phones?
Well, if we want to get into that, we've taken a pretty hard line already, and today's the 10th day of school, and I've had 3 cell phones all year.
All year. So that's pretty good.
Well, so far, 3 cell phones in 10 days.
The high school's kind of leading the
Oh.
charge.
The students are respecting it, and we've developed some, excuse me, some reporting guidelines to take the heavy lifting off the teachers, the principal. Puts it back on the student and the parent.
I really like that
Um,
aspect.
Been very successful. My daughter's a senior, and probably troublesome for that age group of kids. And I try to text her in a day, and she's like, "Yeah."
Just seeing how the policies work.
You're in
The policy's working.
Yeah.
The dad
Just testing.
violence.
So, it wouldn't even send, it was something about, a sporting event or something, like a mass email, and it said, phone silence, not receiving messages at this time. So she had taken it.
Okay.
Shut it all the way off.
All right.
So far,
Awesome.
honeymoon phase, we're still there. After homecoming week, that's when life gets real. So everybody thinks it's great until week 4.
Okay. Well, keep strong.
Yep, no, the teachers so far are holding the line.
Good
And
deal.
they love it. They've reported nothing but thank you. But to his point, we've had all of this in place before now. It's now the accountability piece that we all require, and we should toe the line on.
Mhm.
So
So we shouldn't have that big of a deal implementing this policy.
it
Okay.
shouldn't be an issue.
Okay. Good, Josh?
Yep, you can see now.
Yeah, I'm just checking with him, so. All right, so Miss Carson, any questions for Miss Carson?
This first couple weeks going.
I agree with Mr. Edgar. I'm so happy to be back in there too. They're off to a quick start. We've already weathered some storms and gotten through it and endured some things. So that's exciting that we're all here. We are offering some exciting electives this year. If you're interested, give me a call. Our home ec, we walked in today to our home ec, and home ec has changed.
Yeah.
They're not
Home ec.
baking. Today they were writing their own resumes and talking about their curriculum vitaes. It was very interesting.
Wednesdays is cooking day.
They do. Let's.
I was gonna say,
Wednesdays-
they need to learn how to
Wednesdays
cook.
They are
cooking
cooking
day.
a little bit, but it's not your Betty Crocker or Martha
Right.
Stewart. It's changed and it's upgraded. It's trending, so we're excited about that.
Top ramen?
What's that?
Top ramen?
Not your cooking style.
Our nutrition is.
What grades do you have in that class?
All, 6
Oh.
through 8, yeah.
Oh, good.
We did
Cool.
preference for our 7th and 8th graders because it's a brand new elective, so I'll be really careful. So 7th, 8th graders, there's quite a waiting list. Miss Shay is teaching it. She's got 2 courses, 2 offerings.
All right.
They're gonna learn how to change a tire and sew a button on, and
Good.
communicate face to face, not over a screen.
Life skills.
Very
We also implemented a 0 cell phone policy this year. I kind of fell into it when I took over middle school. The teachers were already kind of doing it. But through Dr. Wrench's help, we just tightened up procedures and put it in writing. So we have a see it, take it
Good.
policy. We confiscate it. So very much what Mr. Fauci was talking about, we're already doing. I've confiscated 1 cell phone in 10 days.
Good.
And it was a brand new student, a transfer student, so
Didn't know.
not one of our homegrown lumberjacks would make sense that they would be under different understandings of cell phones.
Well, good.
Good.
Dale's our special ed teacher, we're down to 1 special ed teacher, and she's running up on how many pounds it takes to break a candy strings. They'll do a lot for Twizzler.
I bet they will.
Yeah, that's a good laugh.
I bet they will.
So adult.
So will Dr. Wrench.
So will I.
Oh my goodness.
Students are accepting the no cell phone.
They are, like I said, I kind of felt like it was already in the works, teachers were already doing it, but we tightened it up and put it in writing. Yeah, they're receptive.
Good.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when you mentioned that they were getting self-reports back from students just saying, I didn't know I needed a break
I know.
until I had one.
That cell phone I took, it just so happened that it was today. You should have heard my office dinging. I couldn't believe how many notifications, I can't look at it, but I can hear it. I didn't ask him to shut it off. It got to him during a common time. And I can't believe how many notifications went off on his phone in a matter of 4 hours.
Wow.
So if you consider the amount of minutes we have with them,
Wow.
the ratio of how many times that phone dinged, it would shock you.
And then what the research says now about, for young brains,
Yep.
the amount of time it takes to refocus.
Oh, yeah, they
5
hear-
minutes.
Yeah, you hear a ding and then your mind starts wandering,
I'm
even
trying
if,
to work it. I
yeah,
hear
they're like,
that
whoa, what
that's
is it gonna be, you know,
Every
so.
different app's
Who
got a
is it?
different ringtone.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
if they
every
can't
single
look at it.
different app, yeah, had
It
a
was
different
so
link.
bad.
Yep. Oh, wow.
It's a really good study about people and their social interactions with social media and their phones and how much dopamine is actually shot to their
Yes.
body
Yeah.
at one time.
And then they need it more.
And how much that they get addicted to it and it becomes a common thing. And then what that does to their sleep schedule, what that does to their
Oh,
normal
yeah.
social interactions. I was actually I'm really surprised that he's doing another study. So I'm actually really interested in it.
Sarah Jennings, talk with the medical.
Yep. Because it all follows the same
Yeah, it's
brain
the
pathways and, yeah.
addiction.
All right. Moving forward, upper federal programs. Any questions there for Mr. Blackwell?
How's the first 2 weeks going?
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wonder if you didn't ask me one. So. It's going good. We had stacked PD at the start for teachers.
Yeah.
The math, the solution tree, PLC, Savvis. We're rolling out some a focus of certain behavior expectations and being consistent with that. Addressing issues with like restrooms, just a simple solution that everybody's seemed to like. And celebrating our successes from last year and kind of pointing that out to parents, to staff, because we had a good year last year and we're pretty proud of it. And wanting parents and students and staff to kind of understand that we're all part of that. Cell phone stuff, we talked to Mr. Fowdy once already, and what I got out of that was key communication with parents, early communication, let them know what your stance is, let them know that cell phones shouldn't be in the classroom. And so I put out a parent email early on about the process of the cell phones. I know our 5th, 6th grade teacher, Miss Stoll, she talked to her class about it, but when I didn't get around to talk to them, so just trying to be transparent and good communication.
I kind of laughed whenever he was talking about the whole Hot Wheel thing. I remember having Pogs.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah.
Pogs? Remember the Pog thing? Everybody remember Pogs?
Remember that, yeah.
That was like the thing that we could have, and we would try to do it in the back of the classroom. It's a distraction is all it is, and it's no different than whether it's you're on a game or you're interacting. It's just a distraction from what you should be doing. So I definitely see it being key. Awesome. Well, as it starts getting darker, didn't we get new lights over there too? Isn't it? Did Yeah. As it starts getting darker, let me know how you like the new lights in your area and
We,
if that's something you notice.
we noticed that, I don't know if it was during the school year or summer. Oh, maybe
During the
summer.
summer. Yeah, during the
Someone
summer.
sent me a picture and they're
Yeah.
like, look at our building.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was definitely a noticeable
Lit up.
difference.
It might help out for late night hours, early mornings, you know what I mean? So, yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's kind of spooky going out of the building when it's all dark like that and you're looking for your car and you don't know who's around. So
I noticed it when we would go to like the gym at
improving.
Hayburn, you know, like for like a meeting or something. It was like, it's dark out here. You can't really see around and
Yeah.
whatnot. And just that was kind of a big deal. And then when I was at Upriver several times, I was
It
like,
was
I could
really
see
dark.
if there's ever anybody working late or we have late morning sometimes and early morning hours. So,
The board, regular board meeting.
I had a question. Initial feedback. I know it's only been a couple of weeks, but how are things with the new math curriculum on the elementary side since you're our only elementary here?
I've heard specifically from one teacher that she's loving it. It reminds her of how she learned math because there's some game choices right away. So they're learning with like math through playing cards and,
Really?
and dice and things like that.
Good.
So I think she's reflecting and was like, "This is how I learned math." And her feedback was rather than having them like sit in a workbook and do page after page, like they're learning in a more engaging way.
oh,
That's one person's feedback.
It's only been 2 weeks.
is that,
Yeah.
is that Singapore? Is that what we're doing? Is
Yeah.
that Singapore? Is that what we're
Yeah.
talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good.
K5.
Good.
What we're doing there, but
Good.
yeah, I don't know if I've gotten any other people's feedback. I know the PD was helpful. I heard a few staff report that, so we got more coming.
Well, that's something that I'm very supportive of. Professional development is going to be really important with this to make this successful. And yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing reports throughout the year on it. So
All right, we all good there?
Josh gone?
We the Zoom time now, so now we're going back into Google Meet.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll keep rolling here. Food service, Ms. Chafee isn't here. Any questions on that?
Are they coming back next meeting?
Mr. Gilmore, he's here. Any questions for Mr. Gilmore?
Yeah. What's going on? How's the first 2 weeks?
Well, I'm just gonna reiterate what everybody else said. It's been a pretty good first 2 weeks.
Good.
Not a lot of confusion or anything like that. We haven't had to do a lot of changing and moving.
Good.
That being said, it's homecoming week. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Right.
No big floods. Okay, good. Pete's over there. Fine. All right, good.
it's like, don't say the word. Don't say that word.
Slippery smile. Good.
I think it's been close to 25 years ago when we did it last. So that seems to be kind of, but 25 years when we did it, it had been 25 years.
Right.
We're about the same point, replacing the valves and such. So
Okay.
we needed a shutdown in order to do that. So
Okay.
we get it scheduled.
Okay.
So summer checklist got checked all
Before
off.
that,
Was
right?
Well, I'm not ever
Complete.
gonna say it all got checked out. Yes.
Good.
We're still working on some number of things, but yeah.
You did phenomenal last summer. I wasn't here for any other summers to see, but you got a lot done. That was good to look over.
I'm happy with what got done over the summer. I had more custodial crew than I've had in a number of years, and we were able to touch things that we hadn't in a good number of years. So it was nice having a little extra help.
The old saying, many hands make light work. Yeah. Awesome.
All right, well, thank you. All right, moving on to the Special Education Department. Mrs. Miller, any questions for Mrs. Miller?
The first 2
That was my
weeks.
first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, this is my 30th start to the school year, and I have to say, it's been most interesting. So it's, special education is always a challenge, and I certainly got it at the beginning of this year, but we're working through kinks and progressing, so yeah, we're moving and shaking.
Okay.
All right.
No major problems or anything? No major concerns? Okay.
Nothing we can't handle.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. So Josh, we lost you. Do do you have any questions for the departments?
No.
Okay. Transportation. Miss Allen isn't here. Yeah, you got any questions about
The
that?
manager and I a lot more bus days than we've had before, so it was a really smooth start.
Good.
And we were addressing a lot of concerns and questions last year, so.
Good.
Nice rollout.
All right.
Good. No missed kids, huh?
What's that?
No. I missed that one.
Didn't make a U-turn in our school bus.
Run. All right, moving on to see the patrons. Mr. Tucker. You're up.
Hello, I'm Ted Tucker. I'm a resident here in St. Mary's. I come to you to speak to the District 41's current policy review process and my observation of it. I come to you as a retired educator and administrator. Excuse me. Currently, the board sends policy to the ISBA, Idaho School Board Association, a nonprofit entity which openly promotes progressive culture such as DEI and LGBTQ+. This board is also progressive in this manner. Now, when the board sends policies, getting to the policy itself, for review, revision, rewrite to ISBA, they return reflected by several board members that send these policies to ISBA to verify their legality. This is a case, past or present, superintendents and boards have been neglected. The state legislature and state school system has in schools districts. As part of the current policy review process, there is a committee of teachers and parents. I went to the last meeting where 3 of the 5 committee members were to beat up on the school board, but to share my professional observations. To the board is to be commended for its strive for gun policy, and in the winter, their choices in curriculum. I simply ask for the board to reflect and reconsider the current policy review. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
All right, we'll move on to the superintendent's report. D. Cute. Staples is, must be left-handed. Change it.
All right. There's also highlights about the start of school, so there's just some fun pictures of the first few weeks of school. Got Dave Atkinson, this is his 30th year, and there he is spinning a basketball on his fingertips. Plus, as we know, Hebron turned 100. Some happenings. School's been in session for 3 weeks. A few things at the school. We're getting ready to start our baseline assessment. So then we'll be able to monitor kids and their progress and achievement towards what we're also working on, our new performance targets for this school year to match our 4 goals, which we'll look at here in a few minutes. As you heard a few of the principals talk about, staff are back to their school sites on Mondays in the professional learning communities, talking about students and their academics, as well as their well-being and their behavior. You've heard the principal speak tonight that there's, along with goal 3, a big emphasis on being really clear and having some common understanding around our behavior and social expectations, reinforcing the good, and then following through and correcting behaviors if we need to. You heard about the Singapore, and Beth, you asked about the dimensions. So we've had some training, and there's training mapped out throughout the whole school year. You've seen this already, just It just aligns with the goals and vision that I'm gonna show here in a few minutes. This is our end of last year, start of this year data points, and then we'll get some baseline data to monitor growth and achievement, like I said, for the school year. So these are our current results where our kids are sitting at, and then of course, we look to see more growth and more achievement by the end of the school year. With some of the goals we talked about and some of the things that you just saw happening. Is a little small to read, but just wanted to emphasize again, we got the academic focus with the math curriculum, also our professional learning community. So that's for all of our students. You're gonna hear a little bit more throughout the school year from our principals as we talk about those 5 instructional components, just really zeroing in on 5 evidence-based strategies that we can use in the classroom with kids to get results. And then, of course, ongoing monitoring. You've heard us mention behavior, so we're going to continue with goal 3 to uphold that behavior and being really clear with our social and our behavior expectations. Rewarding and recognizing what we're expecting and correcting or disciplining for that correction when need be. So some of that work we just shared and some of those areas of focus tie back to our 4 goals. And then we're going to set new performance targets for each goal. So again, we can monitor our growth and achievement and see how we're doing throughout the school year. And then of course, as we move our kids towards closer to each one of those goals, this is ultimately that's a sign and a marker that we're moving our kids to our ultimate vision and mission that we have for them. Quality and collaboration, so we can teach the skills, knowledge, responsibility, and confidence, so that every single one of our kids walk across that stage and become productive and successful citizens. Any questions so far? Now I'm shifting gears a little bit. That was a heavy focus on our strategic plan. Some calendar of events that are coming up. Constitution Day is tomorrow, so you'll see our teachers doing little mini lessons with our students. Many of you heard about the social media presentation. I think Polly and Hank shared last time. So Holly Jo, one of our teachers, is going to present on Wednesday at the Elks more about kids, phones, and social media. And she's just hoping she was a parent, and I think some of us even said that, and I didn't know that. So she's just hoping to offer information and have parents show so that they have a network and can talk with each other.
What time is that?
6 o'clock.
6?
Yeah,
At the Elks.
at the Elks.
You remember?
You remember that?
We have 2 carry concealed weapon input sessions, one at Haven at 6 o'clock on the 26th, one at Upriver at 6 o'clock on the 7th. More information will continue to come out, especially from the Gazette, kind of the protocol or format that we'll use that night, so everybody has a chance to be heard. Levy, we have the levy coming up in November. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few slides, but there's a few more information meetings upcoming and our regular board meetings. We have 1 levy information in here and 1 in Upriver.
You might maybe just put units regular board meeting at Upriver.
Yeah, that's a good point. That one's at Upriver.
On the 14th, is that
On the
right?
14th,
Yeah.
yes. Don't come here, because then you gotta make up time from here to there.
You had asked Paul, so you
Fast.
know it's on the 14th.
14th, yeah.
Yeah.
Upriver?
Upriver. You'll get some more notices, I'm sure, from the board clerk
And a
about
reminder
A nice
that day
text
again.
from the board clerk.
that. Yes,
Please,
with plenty of time to arrive.
you better be
Yes.
there.
Watch out for any gold paint on them.
The 2 levy information.
Print, yeah.
I think it's dry by now.
You said there's 2 levy information meetings. One's here. You said that was on
Yeah, the
14th?
24th is here.
Oh, 20th.
District office.
Yeah, to get the St. Mary's Town
Okay.
folks. And then October 14th is Upriver.
Upriver. Okay.
That's before the board meeting.
That's before the board meeting, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
And Beth and I have already been up for a couple times. We went to Saddle Club and the senior center. Yeah,
How was that?
yeah, it was, yeah. Great questions.
They were. They
Yeah.
were involved. They were interested. We got some good questions. We had some good feedback, and
They wanted to know if we were doing this again, because they wanted to bring more people, and we said October 14th, and they were excited about that.
So bring cookies.
We have bring snacks.
And the October 7th one out of River, the CCW input session, is that at 6 as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And that, all these dates went out in the Gazette, so that was really nice.
Good.
And the Gazette
Are
will do
these-
it.
Question. Did the clerk put these on our calendar?
Today,
I didn't get the one for the 24th.
not all, I'm still working through all.
Okay.
Fine.
Just curious, because it's nice to have, because like I said, you look at the dots and like, okay, well,
could we get an actual like little flyer made up? The communication center upriver at the Fernwood Merc and the Santa Post Office are really good ways, and I'd be willing to hang those posters,
Yeah.
those flyers. And then also if we could get a digital thing to put on the Upriver Upriver Communities United Facebook page.
Can you send me that information?
I will. If we can put that on that Facebook page, that's a really great way to communicate upriver.
How are we doing that locally besides the Gazette? You have your form, you put that on the Gazette.
Yeah, and I have that coming up in a couple slides.
Perfect. Okay. I just
Yeah.
want, for everything. I'm just wondering.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I know we're trying to communicate, so I'm trying to make sure that's out. Okay.
I like them because Kelly's right there, so yeah, to do one in the post office.
Yep, those are places people look for things. They really are. They're
Santa and?
the Santa Post Office and the Fernwood Merc. If we get a flyer for each of those bulletin boards, those are places people actually really
Yeah.
do look for current events going on upriver.
Good point. In the library.
Because there's a lot of people up there that don't have social media access, and so it is a really good outlet for communication.
And we have flyers at the Upriver School, at all the schools. Oh, here it is. So here you go. Josh, it's hard to see with the camera. So some other communication venues are the monthly district corner, the monthly e-newsletters, the Skylerts, the district and school Facebook
Oh,
pages,
cool.
the district and school websites, phone calls, meetings, emails, Skyward grades, and then that's a good idea to add that
Yeah, those are really good places to put.
information.
Yeah.
And then there's hard copies, of course, at the school offices. A little information on the levy, which I guess we're good at this point, but just taking advantage of a meeting, a public meeting. And some people might be watching us, so 3 main points of what the supplemental levy does. It covers these programs and operations for the school, district, extracurricular, preschool program, electives, career tech education, college ready programs, and the operation of our small remote school upriver.
kind of a side note with that CTE. I was in a workforce development council meeting Wednesday. Allison Dunham's part was there for Debbie Critchfield. Anyway, she was going to reach out to you and see how things were going. So just,
Oh, good.
I guess. heads
Look
up.
for that. Perfect. And then another main point of the supplemental levy information wise is the levy tax rate this past year was 1.68, quite a bit lower than it has been in prior years. And the expectation is it will be even lower with the new levy. That's good news. While the other main point, we're keeping the levy at the same amount, just a little bit over 2 million. Those are my 3 big points. And then here's where people can find more information. You can ask any staff member, board member. We have flyers in the office. To what Beth said, we'll hang some of those other flyers on the district website, our Facebook pages, And there's an email where they can ask us questions. That's end of report.
So we can hold up the book.
Exactly. Versus the green and the, that's neutral. And that's end of report.
We're, that's just okay.
All right, moving on to E, Era, any questions? You good, Mr. Harvey? Okay. Moving on to E, Facilities Assessment, 10-year Facilities Plan.
You can make that big again if you want. So,
That's blank.
yeah, well, you said Joe tackled everything this summer. So Tana, this is the assessment results to go with the. I know the district has done a 10-year assessment plan for a lot of years. Lawrenceville. It looks a little different than the red that you're used to seeing.
Oh, the
Matrix.
matrix.
Yep.
Why'd you give me so many?
Fiscal year.
There's
Yeah.
there's 2 pages to cover all 37 items per school.
Oh.
And when it's a PDF, the formatting is,
So we gotta learn this all over again?
well, so I'll back up a little. So remember, HB 521 was just passed, where they're gonna release that lump sum of money for all the school districts.
Mhm.
And we are allocated to see a little bit over 3 million. Now, some requirements are coming along with that before we see that lump sum of money.
Imagine that.
Yep, here it comes. So one is to do another assessment, which was really easy because you already had done an assessment of the building. I had to put it into a software, it's called Maps. So this is a printout of that. So we took the assessment you already had done in the past years,
The matrix.
the
that we
matrix,
were used to
correct.
seeing.
And with Joe's help again, and we submitted the same information on this tool. What you see, good, fair, poor. That would be your red. For these 37 areas.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what the software then does is they put a price tag to each of these assessment items.
Okay.
So now what you see is the potential 10-year plan, this big document. So that was the assessment.
Where's the
Now-
big document?
in
Fold it
your-
over. Well,
Well, it's in, but it's
Yeah.
hard to see on.
It's probably hard to
mine.
see
Not
'cause
late. It's.
Did bring this up?
I
I just want to
guess
make sure.
it's-
she said it was broke up though.
Okay.
Online, it's hard to read because it's broken up.
You guys want to share?
And
can-
Paul, here.
So I don't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Keep
No, you're
going.
good. I want to make sure.
wanna-
No, yeah,
It's
'cause it
almost,
cuts off
yeah,
at
it's almost
28.
So they're
impossible
limiting,
to
so they're
read
limiting,
like that.
so what are the
So you're
restrictions? Is what I wanna know.
No restrictions right
Upriver
now. There's
Middle
no
School.
restrictions. So what I'm saying
Interior.
is,
Interior seems to be the
To-
expensive one.
for the 3 million, what they asked us to do was take our assessment and put it in this tool so you can understand
Okay.
the conditions of our buildings.
Okay.
Then it's actually really a nice tool. So then there's an algorithm. So these 37 items fall into one of these categories: electric, exterior, fire and safety, HVAC, interior, plumbing, roofing, site, specialties, structural, technology.
Joe was
Okay.
all over this one.
Yeah, he was.
Good.
Very
Thanks, man.
helpful.
All right, good.
And the software then, based on how the condition of the building in each of these areas, attaches a price tag.
Okay.
Then we know, then we took what our top priorities were, and now we know how much it would cost. So for example, Upriver's not a great example. Hayburn.
Haven's a great example.
One big project that was on the top of our list was Hayburn and the plumbing. Well, if you look at that, that'll be 1.5 million. If we tackle that in the next, we have 10 years to tackle this. These are top projects. Well, we basically picked out 2 projects that take us to the 3 million.
Yeah.
Now, we want to run that past you. Are these your top priorities? The other thing we shared was we picked a 3rd project because remember, when we get this lump sum of money, and the sooner we submit this and get the lump sum of money, we can be investing in it. So we could be making some interest.
That was my next question. Was that what the plan would be? Would be for
Yeah.
us to put that into an account,
So-
gain interest on until we spend it? Okay.
So ideally, we might have enough money in 10 years to tackle 4 projects. You know, we might be closer to 4 million.
Okay.
So you got Hayburn with the plumbing, potentially if that's remains one of our top priorities. That's just under 2 million. The other big project was the high school, the interior work. And interior means ceilings, doors, walls. And if you look at that price tag, that was roughly $1 million. So now we're sitting at 2.5 million.
Who gave these numbers?
This MAPS software system
Yes.
automatically does an algorithm and spits out these numbers.
Tries to give you an idea of what they expect with inflation. That's what they're trying to do.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. But we can
Now-
beat those, I'm sure.
Underneath, if you see Hayburn, underneath what I wrote was based on the condition of the building and this software, in 10 years to fix everything that was needed, that would be 13 million. You see that? See what I did?
That's a big number because
Yeah, it
everything
is a
doesn't
big
add up to that.
Well, no, I didn't put everything on here.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, pretty
I
big.
would just put some potential top projects we'd want to select. And then if you look at the middle school, if you took everything based on the conditions, what it would require to fix in 10 years, it was 5 million. If you looked at the high school, based on the condition of the facility and this software, if we fixed everything that they wanted us to fix in 10 years, we'd be at 11.2 million. It's a lot.
So I got a question.
School ain't
And we
worth
get to
that.
pick what are our top projects with the 3 million that we have, potentially a little more with interest.
We're
So
not
Joe and
forced.
I were talking, the interior of the high school, plumbing, and potentially electricity at Hayburn, but go ahead. And
So-
Joe's ready to,
So when Debbie was here and we were talking about the age of the building,
yes.
I mentioned to her about, I wonder how that would, if we could get that into a historical society or something to that effect. And I wonder if something like that would help us with kind of rebuilding the thing. Might be something to look into.
So, yes, McKinstry, as we take on these projects and are gonna do updates at Hayburn, they are working with the Historical Society because there are gonna be certain requirements that we can do or not do.
So maybe look at about seeing what we have to do.
Right.
So I guess seeing what we can do to get it into that historical society, to keep it there to where, it's kind of an icon. And then if there's any limitations or if it's gonna benefit us quite a bit, or if it's gonna go the other way to where it's gonna cost a bunch type thing.
And
Just
yeah,
something to look into, I guess.
definitely. And Joe can speak to this too. We also want to be careful on how much updating we do, because if we do too much updating, we move into now being required to follow some of the new codes.
Right, new codes because what's
Yeah.
coming out.
Which is
supposed
adds
to
more
be
money.
2024,
Not that's a bad
something.
thing.
Yeah.
Joe, did you look at these numbers?
Yes.
No, you're pretty familiar, and I just want to make sure. Obviously, if we get this money and we're putting it in interest and we tackle projects, how realistic did you think that some of these were?
I think the numbers are quite high
I thought so too.
on a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a protection measure from the
Yeah, it's
state
good for
out
us then.
Right.
Of course, they're viewing everything with Davis Bacon wages and that kind of thing.
In Davis County, and not Davis and Ada County, excuse me, too, as well, maybe.
Maybe
You know.
in 10 years,
How
Okay,
that
yeah.
translates to us here in this community might be different than what they.
Sure.
which would behoove us, because then we can take on more projects.
Well, I really like that we have locals getting involved in Kinstry right now, trying to age up into getting
Mhm.
their public work licenses. That might offer benefits of us using local contractors in this area,
Mhm.
getting local prices, making the real dark. So I'm looking at these as a contractor. I'm looking at these. I go, I can understand in commercial building things get high.
Mhm.
At the same time, I look at some of these and I go, some of these are quite high. So I just want to make sure that we're aware.
If we have local.
We can knock out more.
that have
Yes.
capabilities,
Sure,
They don't have to pay the mobilization.
of course.
Yeah.
And I see this as being even improbable for the factor of as we gauge these projects,
Mhm.
you can do a lot more with 3 million than what I see here. And so I think that that's a good benefit.
It
right,
is.
for all of us. I think that's something we can look at. And I know that you'll tackle that and finding out those numbers when that time comes.
Right. Yeah,
It's all
we
good
get
thing.
bids. And the nice thing is, this is just one look. I just wanted to just bring some information to you. We'll bring it back. And the nice thing is, we submit this to the state. We still have all the room to shift gears. Like,
Sure.
we're giving them our proposed 10-year plan.
Right.
They're gonna give us that lump sum of money. And if we change course and say, hey, instead of plumbing, we'd like to do this,
We're allowed to do that.
we have
Okay.
total local control to do that.
They're not hitting us with any like
No.
DEI requirements.
No.
Like,
So-
They were just wanting us to make sure that we have a plan of some sort.
Right, and we've done some
That part's
assessment.
gonna be that 3 million.
No,
Right.
that we're,
We're strategic.
we have intimate knowledge of what's
Yeah.
going on in our building. So with
Right.
that said, I'm just gonna put in a little plug for Upriver.
Yes, do that.
The ceiling. Am I right?
Oh, interior. So that's part of your right here?
Okay,
The popcorn
So,
ceiling.
oh gosh, popcorn,
I
you
know.
do nothing.
So right-
It's so disgusting, gross. I mean, that's what kids eat. That ceiling falls off.
what was the ceiling like? Is
So
it
this-
asbestos
It's
popcorn or is
still
it
no,
just
it's
regular
not.
old
This
popcorn?
is
Acoustic.
included,
Cellulose.
this
Yeah,
cost,
I get it.
that's part of that.
Right, I mean, even
Yeah.
if it
Easy
wasn't
scrape.
all tackled, that would be
Yeah.
something that I would really want to see on that list. of
Okay.
Sure.
That has been talked about for, let's see, I've been here since
It's an
1985.
easy fix.
So it's
This is a
been
big
talked
project.
about since 95, I'm sorry, I've been here since 95.
One classroom and the gym that we've got.
Uh-huh.
The rest of it.
It's awful.
It's not the entire.
We'll put that on there.
Right, just a
That's-
smaller area, right.
The gym will be the majority, well, that is the majority, that's the one for 32.
We'll add that.
What do you have to do?
It's the
Can you do a
front. I
fall,
mean, it
probably not a
falls
false
off.
ceiling in a gym, can you?
No, probably not, but we can put panels over it or something like that.
Over asbestos is what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying just the popcorn ceiling?
No, it's just
And that's not
cellulose
asbestos.
insulation.
It's
that they
not.
paint.
Oh,
not
it's
asbestos.
insulation,
Yeah.
like what's done over at Upriver.
That's what
we're
he's
talking
talking
about.
about.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Hebron. I'm sorry.
No, no,
My brain's
no.
at Hebron.
Upriver.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah,
We'll
I
just-
understand.
We'll get
Next
you
time
moved
you're
up.
up, pay
We'll look at it in
attention to
October
You'll
when we're
probably
there.
have to step over a piece on the floor.
We'll add that.
It is that bad.
Only when you play kickball.
It is that bad.
When you play
No,
kickball.
it's
Yeah,
yucky.
kickball.
Ask the food service department how yucky it is when they're cleaning stuff up around food that's being served in the main area.
All right. so
There you go. There's our
good on
first
the-
look at it.
This looks really good. This looks really good. Thank
Real
you.
nice.
So moving on to F, Idaho School Board Association activities, September 25th, ISBA region meeting. Who's all going?
I cannot.
Which one? Oh, the region meeting.
I wanted to, but
It's so late.
Josh? No? Okay. Okay, moving on to November 6th to the 8th ISBA Convention in Boise.
Nobody's watching.
Can you sign me up for that night owl thingamabob that they were advertising? Please?
what's that?
What?
Oh, I don't remember. It's the night owl, but there was, I don't remember what the subject was now.
Or the
Classes?
Yeah, there's a class the night, it's Wednesday night owl something, and I don't remember what there was a lady teaching or presenting or something. I can't remember what it is, but it looked interesting.
Wednesday the 6th
Is that
of
the-
November.
But
Conference.
we'll fly down
6th through the 8th.
Tuesday, which is actually election day. So vote early.
Vote early and vote often is what they say.
So And then, the law conference, April 28th through the 29th.
Yeah, we're gonna know how our levy did here when we go to this class.
I would,
Flying down that night.
I'd pencil me in, but I'm not gonna guarantee it yet. It's too early.
Or
The law conference.
I plan on going,
I'll be the law conference for your, I want to go to the law conference.
and third day of the hill is,
That's not on there
I don't
yet.
know.
that's not on there yet.
That's usually end of February.
President's Day. It's usually over
Day on the Hill?
President's Day.
Yeah. Well, I think they've made that yet. We could ask Phil and Misty at the region meeting. Everybody good on that? Good, Josh? Okay, Idaho Special Education Manual 2024. Special Education Coordinator, Mrs. Miller. Yes, you're up.
This is a small document of less than
400 pages.
400 pages. So,
Did you read it all?
yeah, she does. So it, with very specific federal guidelines and Idaho statute, the board reviews and approves this special education manual each year. So prior to the school boards approving the special education manual, know that Idaho Department of Education, August 24th, 2024, verified that it was compliant with federal law. And now it's our responsibility, or the board's responsibility, to approve the special ed manual. And Jan is here with any updates or revisions. So instead of reading the entire 400 pages, which you're allowed to, she can highlight some of the changes or revisions from last year to this year.
Yeah, so the biggest change is just in the way that students qualify under a specific learning disability. So if you remember the beginning of last year, I went over the 14 different categories.
Can you hear Jen,
You have
Josh?
to come to the microphone.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure he was able to hear.
So the 14 different categories where students can qualify for special education, and specific learning disability is one of those. So when OSEP came in to evaluate the State Department, they found
Will you
that
say what OSEP is?
it's the Office of Special Education Planning or Procedures,
yeah.
or something like that. So
Thank
it's the
you.
federal government special ed. So they review Idaho or all states, and they found that Idaho had a little bit of fixing up to do in specific learning disability. They thought that our qualification criteria was too narrow. How does that relate to academics? We now look at RTI as well, which is response to intervention. So students can now qualify in either a discrepancy-based sort of model or response to intervention model. So it just broadens it a little bit more for students to qualify under a specific learning disability. That was the major change. So, and we follow what the State Department tells us to do.
We have a hard copy too. I know sometimes it's hard to read on the.
If you want
Right.
to,
We have a
I
hard
reviewed
copy.
it well.
if you want to
reviewed it
look
over the
at
weekend.
it, here it is.
Yeah.
And read it. Tana has it for you.
It's only
digitally.
311 pages of reviewing, so it's not a big deal.
It's fun. It's right there. You don't
Yeah.
have to read at night.
I looked at it over the
This is
weekend a little bit.
And then if you just want, I do have like a red line version too, just that SLP. Biggest
Okay.
change that I can get to as well here.
The biggest
Wanted
change,
to read it.
you have that red line, is that what you said? Okay.
Okay, we're all good? Moving on to H, district enrollment. Dropping.
Yeah, a little bit.
Where are we at, H?
Yes.
So this is the first month's attendance at the top. And we'll bring this back every,
Your glasses help. It's
I know,
small.
this one's small. About every 6 months, we bring this back.
You can
Oh, I get the
Hit that
plus.
plus and
Okay, found it.
plus that.
The bottom table there is open enrollment. So those are students who've moved in from another school here within the school district.
Right there.
That's last year.
And
It's this year.
From the end of last year, we ended at 914.
Yeah.
Last year. Okay. I was like, what are you talking about?
Just-
Right, I understand. I was looking. at
Yeah,
this.
there you go. Then the third table is just the 10-year enrollment trend.
Right. But this year we're up 5 students. Is that what I'm reading?
Well,
4?
No. So the end of last year, we ended at 914. So we're starting this year at 909. We're down by 5.
Okay.
And then if you look by school, every school's down slightly compared to last year at this time. Thus our overall.
Yeah, big class of freshmen.
Yeah, we got some big bubbles. You got a big
Nice.
third grade, you got a big freshman.
Has it always been that way? That class has been large coming through the system?
No. It comes in
Where's
waves
Peanut?
of
No?
certain classes that'll have a larger student population.
Or did we get quite a bit of new enrollment, I'm guessing?
No. We had a big 8th grade class. So they're just kind of moving through.
All right.
Where do I see last year's for specific schools? Is there a
You
possibility?
don't.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
I
I don't
had
see
it.
it.
to-
I don't
I had it to give you a reference point.
Okay.
Yeah, 82
Is
third.
how's the middle school enrollment?
Right, you can see right now, we're
I
at
see it
200.
now,
It was
yeah.
205 last year, 205.
And Hayburn?
Hayburn, let's see, right now is 340. Last year was 343.
Okay.
Time was 317, and now it's sitting at 292 with the big freshman class.
Okay.
And then the district last year at this time was 1,092, and this year we're sitting at 909. We ended last year, at the end of the year, we were 914. So we're
We
down
lost
by
100
5.
kids almost
We
throughout
left
the year.
throughout the school year. We're down by 5, but compared to the end of the year, yeah,
100 was 1,000.
How's that going to affect our funding?
it affects it.
It does. What's
How
the sense?
much?
Well, depends on the
We didn't budget
divisors.
for that, so that number wasn't budgeted for, so. I mean, it affects us obviously.
It'll affect us
If
in
we have
the-
more kiddos, we get more funding, but, we did not budget for that.
For
So if by the end of the
just
year,
that at all, or that big of a drop, or were our numbers at 914 with our budget
what
last
was
year?
last year again? It was
We were more in
1,001?
line with what
What we are now?
Students?
That was in
909.
September. That was in September.
Okay, 1,092.
92.
Okay. Okay. So let me just ask this question so I understand it. So like, obviously we need to budget for that. So we obviously have the budget for more students than we have now. We're being wise with where we spend that money then so that the next year we see another downward trend, we're prepared for it, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we look at where our current, when we did the budget in April and May, we based our current, not where we were at last September,
Right.
but where
Right.
we were right then and
Okay.
there.
And we were
And
about this number.
moving the classes
Okay.
where they're, the 8th graders.
I know I've asked this question. I just wanna make sure.
We budgeted for where we are right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
We budgeted
Okay.
on the 900.
And we'll budget in case there's a downward trend next. Okay. Okay.
And that's how we get our support units.
Okay.
We'll keep monitoring that. You'll see this every couple board meetings.
All right, we good?
Mhm.
And moving on to I, first reading and review of board policy. Board policy 601.03, school day bell schedule.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say about this one. It's not really a policy. So that's why in action, I'm gonna ask us to delete it. What it is it's just it's a presentation of their bell schedules. Well, you get those through, the principals each year and the student handbook.
But this is a policy now.
It's policy now.
Okay.
That I'm gonna ask us to expire because it's not really a policy. There's nothing written. It's just a presentation of a bell schedule.
We're not changing anything or nothing here.
We-
This is all.
Even if the principals did, like you set the calendar as
Right.
the board
They set
and
the-
you
they set
set
the
the
schedule.
instructional minutes and then they go do a
Right.
bell schedule and share it out with people.
That we're not micromanaging.
Yeah, and there's nothing written about like, hey, if there's a change of what's a bell. So I'm presenting them because we have this policy. And then, so there's the bell schedules, but you can see them on the website. They were passed out to start school. You'll see them in student handbook. And then I'm gonna ask us. for the
But by
reason-
definition, this
Correct.
isn't really even a policy.
Correct.
Right.
Well, it is
It's
a
just
policy
this-
right now, but we're.
There's nothing
Call it a
written.
policy,
Right.
but there's nothing
Written.
There's nothing talking about it. All
There's
it
not-
is a schedule.
There's nothing, there's no content to explain what we do or don't do, or how we govern it,
How it
or
got there.
implement it.
Why was it previously put into a policy? I'm wondering.
I can't explain that. Josh is gonna say something.
It's
Go ahead,
been one
Josh.
for a long time.
Go ahead, Josh.
Insight?
So just at the very bottom of policy, it's been reviewed, amended, it looks like.
Correct. Your bell
Going
schedule,
all the way back to 1998.
yes.
So that schedule changes, because it will like every couple of years, whatever the situation may be. The policy should actually just say that there will be a bell schedule as determined by the school administrator or each.
I would say we don't even
That's
need a
all I need.
policy on it. But that'll be, you can make that decision if you want to.
Did you hear that, Josh?
I'm getting terrible feedback from listening to myself.
She's
I
giving
can hear you.
recommendation that we don't even have it. Give me your insight for why you would think that we would keep it and just change wording to make it policy saying that we allow administrators to create the schedule.
I don't know if you can hear us.
Did you hear that?
Oh, I can hear you.
Processing.
So what is there to say? Let's just say Pines has to go rogue one year and don't create a schedule for the high school.
Well,
What would there be in place that would permit them to have a schedule?
well, the board sets the calendar, so the student attendance days are locked in, and then you set the instructional minutes. So at some point then for implementation, the staff and principals, myself and the principals, are there for setting the bell schedule to be compliant with the policy, which is the instructional minutes that the board establishes.
Which is set by state. Minutes are set by
Yeah.
state.
So do we have a policy that
For instruction,
defines the
instructional
calendar,
minutes.
instructional minutes, and
It's
that
in-
we're being redundant with?
Yeah, we're
Is
being
there
redundant.
is there another policy
instructional
that
minutes?
refers to our setting the calendar and instructional?
Statute.
That's by state law, our minimum.
That's what you do.
Minimum minutes.
Okay.
You approve the minutes and you approve instructional minutes, and then we go implement by setting a bell schedule.
So is this just redundant?
So I've got
In
a,
my
I don't
eyes.
know.
I've got a question. I see in the past 20 years,
I've
20,
never seen
yeah,
it.
20 years. It's been amended 3 times.
Because we're bringing the bell schedules each year.
And so they keep changing that, putting it into policy. My question is why they keep it. That's my only wonder.
Yeah. I've never seen a bell schedule be a policy. I've seen instructional minutes by law and calendar by law.
Well, that's a statute saying that we need to have
Right.
them, right?
Well,
That's the governance
I-
part.
I
And
would-
then staff, we implement with a bell schedule.
Paul?
Go ahead, Judy.
I would say let's look into it, table it, and you can look into it. Go from there.
Yeah,
More
prove
information.
why we don't need it.
Yeah, I'm not
Oh, yeah, I
negating
thought
what
I
your
was,
recommendation
but
is.
I'll get it. I need.
Yeah, I really don't know why we would need the thing.
I don't see why we have this policy. I really don't.
And you
And
can
so,
look at
yeah.
school districts.
I guess
and-
But
Just
before we
double
delete
checking.
something that's been in play for so long,
Just
right?
double checking.
And it's been amended,
I guess
obviously
really
amended,
need this.
I would
Yeah.
want to understand why before I just delete everything and I'll be like, all right, that's fair. Let's figure out why. If it's not needed, there's no reason why we need to have, how many more policies do we have than other schools, right? Like, okay, cool. What do you think, Josh?
No.
I'm good either way with it. As long as it's defined that kids have to be in school X number of minutes a day.
Yep.
Class is defined by X number of minutes per period. There's an official, like, direct instruction for each class, and I don't have a problem.
That's in statute,
Yeah.
Yeah.
990 minutes. And then
We
the
have that in a
principal-
policy, then if it's in statute.
It's in statute.
Okay.
And then principals go figure out when are we gonna start and end and make it all work. Like,
Okay.
is it 45 minutes of class period? Is it gonna be 50? And then we all juggle and work out transportation. I'll keep,
Do we have a policy that says that that should be, though, even though it's statute, we have a policy that puts that statute in play? I'm wondering if that's why they did this.
Or is it
If
every
this
year?
is
that-
defines their minutes.
Every
But it's
year they
not-
have to prove to us what they are doing with their time? Is that kind of what this is?
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I agree. That's what she's saying.
I'm trying to do two lanes.
Hold-
Calendar, then I have to report that to the State Department, saying with the schedules that
Proving.
the principals have
Proving
set,
the minutes.
That we're
Proving that we
meeting
have the
their
minimum amount
requirement.
of minutes that is required by statute. So you guys approving the calendar does that.
Weird because it says,
And
policy
require-
title is school day,
Yeah, there's-
Right. and it defines a school day. So I understand that. You're saying we already do that by statute. So,
Well, I
There's no-
can see if we kept it, putting it more into a word form. The
Exactly.
schedule is ridiculous because that
I
gets
know.
changed.
saying we are
every
following
year
according to this
the
statute, this
There's
many minutes
no-
from point A to point
There's
B.
no,
Right,
there's nothing written to govern.
and,
Right.
and then the
Right.
policy in
Yeah.
written word would just be reiterating what we're already bound to by
Agreed.
Statute.
statute.
Agreed.
I can
and
go
our
look at other
calendar
school
setting,
districts.
so
to
It may not
verify
be
they don't have them.
necessary because of
Sure.
that
Yeah.
already. So we'll just table it and
I'll verify that
Define
the
it.
other districts don't have it.
That'll be a quick
Okay.
verification to see what's going on so we understand that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously they've kept it for a long time. So before we just rip this thing out and have to write up a new one, let's find out. Yeah.
a lot of times you
They
just
went
do it
20
'cause it
years
keeps
without
going.
doing anything to
You
it.
just
I
keep
wonder
going,
why,
keep doing it because
20
it's
years
there.
in
People
play, why
have it.
wouldn't we?
And all of a
It's
sudden you go,
us
I
getting
don't
in a
need
routine
that.
of reviewing
Right.
policy. That's why some of them
Right.
sat there year after year. That's
That's
one
it.
reason.
It's crazy.
And
It's,
not
yeah.
the only reason.
Right.
And not putting down anyone prior to us, we'd see what a big undertaking it is to review policy.
Right.
And how many years it takes.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on here. So Jay, second reading and review of board policies. Board policy 2420,
Mhm.
parent and family engagement.
This is one you all looked at back in June. The policy committee looked at it a couple times. And we didn't have one, so when people looked at it and you looked at it, it seemed like a good policy to have because it reiterates, since we do Title I funds, particularly upriver, that it was just reiterating best practices that we all want on how our schools and district involve parents. And there's one word we changed on page, no page,
So this wasn't one that we previously had.
correct.
We're implementing a new policy. That's why when I was reading it, I was like,
Yeah,
original adoption date. What do you mean? This is a new one that we're introducing?
correct.
Okay.
So by statute, we're supposed to have a policy. And by having, when statute references local school districts, it lets us have local control to have a policy. So here's our policy, which is just reinforcing great practices that I believe the school districts already have in place, all the different ways they're involving their parents.
This is the first read.
This is the second reading. You reviewed it in June.
Was I here in June?
You were not.
I was
You
not.
were not.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
And
I
the
don't,
school-
when I read it last night, I
Yeah.
didn't remember.
And the
Okay.
policy committee's seen it a few times. And the audience, I am gonna share, patrons who do show up to the committee, they've gotten all their questions answered.
Okay, we're good on that policy. Moving on to policy 702.01, parentheses, 8100 transportation.
This is the second read. It was reviewed in June by you guys or the board.
Sorry. Well, this is supplemental.
Which one is this?
Transportation. It's different.
It's different one than what I read.
The one paragraph
This
is,
is different than.
yeah, one more paragraph was taken out. We're gonna pay room and board.
Oh, this one, why? So I understand it. 'cause I was-
So, yep, I'll go through it. So After reading one, then we made some changes and also consulting with transportation, feedback from the board. So the first part is the exact same as what we already had.
Mhm.
And then I'll tell you what we added. We added the special ed student section.
Right.
That was a practice we were using, so it needed to be part of policy.
Where did we get the special ed student section?
With the help of Jen Miller, our special ed coordinator, that once we write an IEP, there's part of their IEP includes transportation, how they're gonna ride on that bus. This is one of those.
Okay.
We added the safety and conduct because that was a big part of how our kids are riding on the bus and behavior and holding them accountable and keeping the bus drive safe. So we added safety and conduct.
So, all right, so if a student has a one-on all day, are they gonna have that one-on-one on the bus with them?
If it's written into the IEP, yes.
Is that every time?
If it's written into the IEP. So IEPs have a separate section for busing. So if a busing needs or if a student needs transportation accommodations, then the IEP team makes that decision. So it could be supports, it could be a paraprofessional giving them support. One of the main things busing department and I worked on was creating a better form of communication between the school, the case manager, the principal, so that it wasn't the bus driver dealing with issue after issue after issue and then being like, I don't have any support. So
Right.
now we have a very systematic protocol in place. So if they're having an issue with a student with special needs on the bus, we hear about it right away and we have a system in place to help address it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it would make sense if a kid has support all day at the school and then they just get stuck on the bus to go home.
Right.
It would make-
Sometimes they love the bus and they do just fine.
Do they?
So it just depends.
Yeah.
Every case is
A little different.
really, there's no.
Can you explain bus conduct report number
Yeah,
two? a bit better for
I
me?
will.
I'm sorry. I know, I
You're
appreciate it.
right.
I didn't mean to, I wanted to
No,
let
you're
you
good.
finish. Okay.
Gippo?
Sure.
During families, the amount of training the bus drivers are getting to be safe. The second paragraph, we're reiterating that riding the bus is a privilege, not a right. Have rules to ensure the safety of the bus.
Right.
Then you go down to L. Then below that, you go to student conduct on the bus. We added this. Again, emphasizing the importance of student conduct and the safety of that bus. So again, we have written rules, which you're gonna see, on how the kids ride the bus. Copy of those rules are shared with kids. The bus driver, so this is new, number one. If there is an activity that distracts the bus driver or it endangers the safety of the driver or the passengers, they could be subject to an automatic suspension.
Which is a harsh punishment.
It's,
I
yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And that's some of the feedback we got was, the next one is the conduct report. So we just wanted to reiterate. So we added, there are times, just like in school, that they're
From the
on
bus,
Yes,
just referring
Correct.
to the bus.
correct. Or denying riding
Or
privileges.
denying.
Yes. And then explains in lieu of, so,
Mhm.
yeah, you'll see that. They live more than 1.5 miles from the bus, or if they live more than 1.5 miles from a bus stop, then we will compensate them, reimbursement, gas mileage. And you'll see that later tonight, because we have a few.
We do have a few.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, you'll
They
see it
actually
tonight.
live more than 1.5 miles from
Yes.
the bus stop. Okay.
Mhm. So then based on the gas federal reimbursement rate, we denial of bus privileges, bus conduct 1 through 5, that was in our current policy. But you'll see through conversations that we had with the first read and in collaboration with the bus transportation department, we've reduced that to 4.
Okay.
And these are for minor infractions. where it might warrant a phone call, a parent meeting. And then if it still continues, now you moved into being suspended from the bus.
That's
Right. And we added again, just to reinstate, re-emphasize. So if there's a behavior that endangers the safety, it could warrant an automatic suspension. Regulations, that was in our current, I'm on the right one right now, sorry. Yeah, regulations. That was on our current one as well, but it listed all 37 safety regulations. I crossed those out and just referenced the standard Idaho bus and operations manual where we would find those 37 safety regulations. Feedback again from transportation was it's too many to read. People are getting lost in understanding it. And that's it.
Okay. Good on policy.
Guys, Josh?
Okay.
currently,
Three.
how many bus aids do we have on?
Yeah, out of the 6 buses, our goal in talking to transportation was, while we might need one for a student who has an IEP, they also were requesting, could we have one every afternoon ride if we could find one? Just to help settle behaviors, and some rides are long and the kids get restless, or some of the buses have larger ridership. So I think after today, we're up to 5 out of 6.
Okay.
With bus aids on a bus. That's pretty remarkable,
That's
right?
That's a
Yeah.
that's a treat.
I recruited some volunteers. Jen Miller does a phenomenal job finding people. People have applied and they're like, I don't know if that's a good fit for me. And we're like, oh, well, I think we have a good fit for you. Like one of our employees tonight that we transferred. Like the custodial was going to be too much, but there was still a good fit and something we needed and something she could do.
So
And then I did add all those cross-reference policies just because I wanted to emphasize student conduct matters. And of course, the standards for Idaho bus operations, like we're not making these rules up. These are required. And if you can't behave or we can't support good behavior and regulation, then the bus is a privilege.
So in the just that it went over into some of those other ones,
Safety.
it could be a district or a suspension from school. It
Uh,
could be,
If it happened in school.
only if it happened in
Yeah.
school. So assault,
So-
battery.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
Yes,
things that
yes,
are
yes,
so
that is
egregious
correct.
that
Good
are
point.
like
Yes,
that.
you're not going to be in school.
That
Good
would
point.
that would cross over. So by cross-referencing these other policies, it links them,
I'm trying to link them exactly.
which then brings us. Okay.
Are they gonna be a link whenever this is a policy to where you just click on the, the student conduct, smoking, alcohol and drug use?
Can we do
502.03.
that in Assembly?
No, you'd
Right
have to
now I
go.
can't, but
No, you'd have to go. You'd have to.
someday maybe.
You'd have to go to the student discipline.
So you have to,
just
you have to,
highlight that and
yeah, it's
know
more
what,
of a
put it in
assembly
the
question.
search.
Is that a
Assembly
possibility
doesn't
to
do
have the
that.
links in there?
No, I asked.
No.
Assembly doesn't do that. We'd have to manually do that.
Oh.
Maybe someday. I mean, each year they add new features. That would be nice. Then it's in column.
But at this point, you can
stuff.
just highlight.
We have
it,
to
put it
manually
the
put in the
search bar,
factor of having a
bring it
link
right
instead
up.
of our, that would be possible, would it? Or no? Oh, I didn't understand. But I can go to look at this myself. So that will be listed in reference. Okay, that's
Correct.
awesome. That's
Yes.
good enough for me. Okay.
And often we will also often list like this manual or statute. So if people want to reference, where is that statute? You know where to go look.
Nope, that's fine. I appreciate it.
And it's huge that you can even search by words now.
Yeah, it's gotten easier in Assembly.
That's a nice feature.
That's why they're there, to be able to go reference.
All right, moving on to K, Board of Crystal Administration, Board Development. Anybody got any questions or concerns or anything?
Definitely want to say that I appreciate the factor of you of us putting on the agenda, and I appreciate you taking on as much as you have. It's a lot, but I do appreciate the factor of their attention to, if you're, we appreciate they're willing, so.
I do a
Thank
good job. And Beth, I wrote down your request to get some of that information of the Santa and Mida and Fernwood area.
Okay.
All right, moving on down to the action items. A, review and consider a motion to approve the current Idaho Special Education Manual 2024 with any subsequent revisions as the district special education manual.
Sorry. I'll second that. I'll move that, sorry about that. My brain's on.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Was not expecting that voice.
B, review and consider motion to approve the paraprofessional standards, skill, knowledge, and application for Idaho alternative paraprofessional assessments.
Let me explain that.
Please.
So when paras are hired to work in the classroom, they used to have to, they still can pass the paraprofessional assessment. Idaho came out with this alternative option. So they can either hit these requirements or take the paraprofessional assessment. And that's what allows them to be hired and keep their job as a paraprofessional.
Okay.
How'd I do, Jen?
Good. They could also have 32 college credits, and that would be another option.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Questions?
need a motion.
I'll make a motion for that.
Okay, got a motion. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. C, review and consider motion to release Catherine Cameron from certified employment contract.
I'll make a
Motion.
motion.
Motion. I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. D, review and consider motion to approve the service agreement with Divco.
This is our annual HVAC maintenance
Oh, I saw that.
servicing.
Also motion that.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. E, review and consider motion to call for bids to purchase a new school bus.
Tell me about this. This was something that was planned that we're talking about.
A little bit. Danette's got some paperwork for you.
Please.
Yeah, remember, we had one new bus come in finally this year. That was ordered several years ago. And we have our activities bus, which is fairly new, just a few years old.
Our activities bus.
Our activities bus, they're aging.
We're getting ready to sell them.
They're like 6 years, 7, 8, 9, I think up to 10 years old. So we had talked about wanting, like, you want to phase in, right? Needing another 4 buses. So this is kind of the plan, how we might go about doing that instead of getting another loan. Then that's going to speak to that.
I know we set that money aside, didn't we? When we went over that
Yeah.
plan?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay, I remember
So
that part.
Local history is prior to 2010, we did try to purchase a bus every year just to keep our fleet pretty current.
Mhm.
That's when all the state pullbacks happened and no money, so we ended up trying to purchase a bus every other year. Well, that put our fleet behind, so it's an aging fleet. On our depreciation schedule, I looked at it today, and out of the 19 buses on there, 11 of them are over 10 years old and not depreciating anymore. And we get money from the State Department on the depreciation schedule. That's part of the transportation funding that we get. So we get whatever the depreciation is on the buses that are on there, we get 85% of that as revenue. And it's supposed to be used towards the purchase of buses, which we do a transfer from the general fund to the bus fund. So looking at that, we're falling behind. We
Mhm.
have increased costs in labor, repairs and maintenance happens with it,
Mhm.
and it's a reduction. We don't have as much state funding, we're not monopolizing, we're not using that. So in 2020, the board did approve a purchase of 4 buses to try to do a kickstart to get back to getting a bus every year. We got a loan for that. Our final payment is this year. We did get a bus delivered this year. So what we want to do is try to get back on track to have our bus purchase every year. We have an opportunity to purchase 2, if it's approved by the board to do 2 for right now, and then after that, 1 every year. And this sheet that I gave to you shows, we'll do the top one because that's probably how it's gonna happen.
That's the
This is
best.
our plant facilities bus fund, and the first column is 24-25. So we're beginning with a fund balance of 192,000. You already approved in the budget, the transfer of the 96,194. We've been doing that, 164. We've been doing that for a few years now. Remember, lottery funds are going away because of that House Bill 521, the modernization. They took away lottery funds in order to help fund that $3 million that we're gonna get.
Right.
So that was the separate fund that we used for facilities. We had some money in there, and so during the budget time, we decided, well, we don't need that fund anymore. We're just gonna transfer that to plant facilities, because that's what we used it on. However, thought maybe we could use that for another bus purchase. So instead of transferring that 142,000 to plant facilities, transfer it to plant facilities bus fund, so that'll allow us to get these 2 buses. So that's what I'm proposing. If we do that, we'll probably get those 2 buses next year. So you'll see that, we'll pay that out in next year.
In cash, not in a loan.
What's that?
We'll pay that out
We'll
full.
pay it
we
out
won't
from
loan.
this fund.
Okay.
And do look at the line item, this is increase in depreciation receipts.
Mhm.
This one bus that we purchased this year for 140,000,
Right.
that's increasing our depreciation 12,000.
Okay.
So we'll get more money from the state for depreciation. So we'll put that into the bus fund, we'll increase the transfer from general fund by 12,000 to help fund those buses. Purchase those 2 buses for 290,000. Then if you look at the next year, we're gonna have an increase in depreciation of 44,000. So that'll help fund the purchases every year.
Right,
So we
I
already
understand.
have designated 96,000, but the
Right.
increase in depreciation by purchasing those new buses will help increase that amount. So that's what I'm proposing. If you could, when we do amended budget, if you do approve this, the amended budget time, we'll ask that you approve that transfer from the lottery fund to the plant facility bus fund rather than
Instead of plant facilities.
which we have plenty in there right now.
Right.
Okay for now.
Mhm.
So that'll allow us to jumpstart a little bit, get 2 buses, not do it on loan,
Mhm.
pay it outright, and then continue on after that, getting 1 bus per year.
And get our fleet back up to
Try to get the
current.
fleet back. It's gonna take a little while, but that'll help to get us back on track.
We're planning on selling one of our buses after we.
I
Or-
imagine, and when you do sell a bus, it has to be, the revenue
It
has
goes
to
back
go
right back
into
into it.
this bus fund.
Okay.
So you know that will go in
Yeah.
there too.
What are the average on sales of a bus from Canada?
Not much.
1,000,
Almost nothing.
2,000, yeah.
Really? You
1,000,
put 'em out
it's
for
not
bid.
very much.
As much as it costs to advertise in the newspaper.
Pretty much.
That's how much we
A
sell the
little
buses
more,
for?
a little more.
Whatever, it's surplus, so they
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
So that surplus
Like
items that we
$500,
approve,
1,000.
that Joe puts up,
Yeah.
that's what,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
That's where the bus come from. So we're gonna sell
Yeah.
4.
There's
But
one down
what-
there at the,
Yeah.
there's one by the
yes.
playground. I drive
Correct.
by it all the time.
We have 4 that we're hoping to sell.
For
What the-
1,000 or 2,000, is that what we're talking about?
Whatever you put up. get
we
It
it.
just
didn't even
sold-
sell at the last
Yeah.
time to try to
But
sell
But now we
it.
found a
Do they
buyer.
run?
Now we
Yeah?
found a buyer. No, no.
It's about a
These are out
motor.
of, these are out of service.
I
Or,
was joking.
yeah, I know, okay.
Well, that one
However,
runs.
you'd be surprised what we got running again. What was I gonna say? We sold 2. We're about to sell 4 more. We have a buyer. It is not a lot of money. However, the mechanics take parts that are workable,
Yeah, I understand.
strip the good parts, and or seats, upholstery, siding.
Right.
Yeah, different
So you
accessories.
sell the shell. Understand. Okay. Thank you.
So the top one, there's 3 scenarios there, just for giggles. The top one's probably gonna happen, if we were to go out for bid and order a vacation schedule at the State Department, I think it would be next summer. So that's probably the scenario that's gonna happen. The middle part, if we were to get this year, 1 bus is next year, you'll see it, what it changes is how much we get from depreciation. We look in 25, 26, we would get 32. So, and then down here, if it could happen,
Best
we get
case.
both buses in this year, then it increases it even more. So it's playing with the depreciation when we can get it, is how much reimbursement.
We'll be
we get
reimbursed
on
for it, right.
transportation. So
That's
we
the
would-
best case scenario, of course.
Best case scenario, we would get the bids and see what happens
Good. So we need a motion.
for two.
Motion for that.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Sorry. Motion carries. Moving on to F, review and consider motion to approve surplus items list for
Motion for that.
There is list on,
There's a list of items.
See the list?
Yeah, the list is on here.
It's hard to hear, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a list.
Where was it?
We had this list back in May or June.
I
Oh,
looked for it and
okay,
okay. There's a hard copy.
I'll
It's
make
right
sure-
On, there's an attachment.
It's right here. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah, it's right there.
We can list some of the items out loud for him.
Hey, no, that's okay.
It's mostly items that were in Hayburn. We went out for bid. This very list we brought to the board either May or June, and we didn't get any bids. So we thought with the buses, now that we have a buyer, we would bring this same surplus list back and see if we get any bids now that school's in session. It's mostly stuff that's been in the Hayburn basement. Chairs.
I'll read it.
Yeah. I have further comments on that,
are
but
they working or?
Yeah.
Or are they scratched?
Read a few things. Garland convection oven,
Runs well.
electric grill oven, Hobart dishwasher, kitchen cabinet, countertop, sink, piano, bleacher buddy,
Industrial.
Joe can tell you.
basketball returner, desks, computer tables,
Let's go.
welders,
Cabinets.
wood vices, bench grinder, surplus vintage science equipment. There we
He's
go.
good.
oh yeah, I'm good.
You're good. Are you sure?
They're kind of
Okay.
fun.
Okay.
A motion for that.
Okay, we got a motion.
Second.
Got a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
I do have a comment.
Okay.
So there's, with the middle school, and stored down in the basement of the apron are the football.
Is it what?
The foot what?
And
Football
the safety. Whoop, sorry, Jody, go ahead.
We got foot something and then.
Football helmets that have expired.
So football helmets expire 10 years from the date essentially that you purchased them, regardless of whether they're in package, brand new, unused, they expire.
Yes.
And so one of the things they ran into this year, and they probably ran into years past, is that the expired helmet was still around and were accidentally, some of them were issued.
Mhm.
And so just as a liability safety thing, it was kind of relayed back to some of the football parents that they couldn't throw away school property. With those helmets, I would encourage us that when a helmet is expired, that on date, that 10 years has been met, they get thrown away. Disposed of, gone. They need to leave Kanawha County immediately,
So with
not
that,
to be reissued.
yeah, so with that said, I'd make a comment on that thing is to somehow
Add that.
cut them in half. So they're
So
just
now we're used.
completely non-reusable because
Oh.
if somebody gets a hold of it later on down the line and
Traces
that might
it
be
back
some
to
kind of a
us.
lawsuit coming back that, oh, hey, we got this from School District 41, so.
Hang their belts on.
Well, I
Yeah,
know this,
you just accidentally, that one accidentally
No.
get issued and a head injury occurs. Bad deal.
I was gonna add it for the vote tonight, just make a motion to add that to this and then vote with that amendment. That
do that
those are
right
on that list.
They're on this list? Football
No,
helmets?
they're not. Can we,
It's just
can we,
something brought up.
Amend this vote and add that to the list and then vote on the list.
Well, I guess why would we want to put them on the list?
Because we want to surplus and get rid of them. Destroy
that's a
them,
surplus for
correct?
auction, isn't it?
And then
Yeah,
when
for
no,
auction.
when there are no
So-
bids, we throw them away.
Oh, we throw them
So we
away.
don't want
No,
them.
they
We don't wanna
can't
sell
be
it.
bid on.
Let's just get rid of them.
They go straight into a garbage can and
Yeah.
Yeah.
then.
Let's,
Yeah,
I
I,
like Jody's idea.
Why don't throw a bandsaw?
Destroy them first.
Yeah.
yeah, I think they need to go to a bandsaw or cut off saw
Okay.
and
Okay.
dice
I
in
got
half.
you.
So nobody else reuses them?
Yeah.
Can I just give an idea? Could they be cut in half and the school make like a plaque or trophy or something out of them? Just
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yeah, go to the high school and have them cut them up.
Yeah, okay.
It'll be okay as long as,
Except
as
for
long as
they're
they're
not
not usable.
usable.
Yeah, just so they're
Yeah.
not reissued or even floating around out there.
I
So,
thought you had to circle. So it was like awesome.
Something good
I
for
got
a
you.
wood shop class.
They're already expired.
Tell them an idea.
no, good idea.
They could be
So
made-
back,
it's a good
I guess
idea.
back to the motion on the
Get
surplus
fun.
items.
Yep.
I've seen
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor of saying aye?
I had a question before we did that.
Oops.
I was
sorry.
trying to say, what did we say we were gonna do with them then? I'm sorry. Did we amend this to put them on surplus? or-
No.
We're just gonna go
Just
ahead.
gonna cut them
We
now.
don't
Okay,
need
okay.
to
I need
since
to
they've already
understand, okay.
expired.
Yeah.
That was my wonderment.
So
Perfect.
we voted. All in favor of saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. G, review and consider a motion to approve the advertising call for number 2 fuel bids for the 2024-2025 school year.
That's the same transportation we just looked over?
This is fuel bids.
Fuel bids.
Oh, fuel bids.
Yeah. To go out for bid
We
for
just
fuel
go
Yeah.
out
for the
for
winter.
the
I didn't
bid.
see one.
But, so who,
So we don't
Just for
have
the,
the bid.
this is to go out for bid,
oh, go out for bid, okay.
to pub,
So this,
So
yeah.
moved.
the hearing and the public notice.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'm sorry, who brought the motion? Thank you.
You got it? Any further discussion? All in favor of saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. H, review and consider a motion to approve the applications for the in lieu of transportation 24-25 school year.
Zones, the zones are not.
That's the in lieu that we were talking about the
So
mileage.
that's your bus people.
This family's more than 1.5 miles away.
So it's just-
So that's the rate, the 65 cents. No, six,
For families.
so they for the family to drive their child to
Also
the
motion that.
bus stop.
Three kids.
Okay, we got a motion.
Second.
We got a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of saying aye?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then this one says-
I, review and consider motion to approve the amended non-transportation zone for the 24-25 school year.
You've seen this already. You approved these at the start of the year. We added Charlie Creek Road. It's temporarily is closed, so we can't. We had to change the bus stop, let's say that. So it impacted one child. We've coordinated that with the family. I just thought this could be a month or two, that the right thing to do was bring this temporary non-transportation zone to you. There's a, it's out by Fernwood, there's a bridge that's down, so they're gonna rebuild the bridge.
So that'll be like a non-transportation zone is what you're saying?
For now, for a month or two while they're fixing it, the bus can't go over that bridge. So we created a different bus.
Oh, I
bridge
saw
is
these
under
other ones. in
construction.
Mitch- Yep, that's great. Yeah, okay.
So moved.
We'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. J, review and consider motion to declare a need to approve the State Board of Education Emergency Provisional Certificate application for Alyssa Daniel.
So moved.
I don't have any questions. Do you have any questions about that? Okay, no. I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. K, review and consider motion to approve the contract for the services with Panhandle Health District.
Did they have the, there's an updated version I'm gonna give you, and I'm gonna compare the updated with the one you're looking at.
Okay.
we're bringing this one back. He wanted me to get some more information.
Right.
Yep.
I recognize that when I saw it.
Yep.
So we're only paying for what we receive and not just a set contract amount?
It's a set contract amount, but let me go over what we are receiving and the number of kids we're serving, because I got that information. If you look at the updated one, the first page is the same. That's all the services that they provide our nurses and some of our staff in terms of medical consultation for some of our kids that have medical plans, like allergies, seizures, or be diabetic. And it'll say that again in a couple pages. What else did I want to go over? So then in G, the vision screening and the scoliosis screening. That can be upwards of 225 kids for vision, and it can be upwards of 300 kids for scoliosis. Now, they didn't know how many kids were served this past year. So what I ask is, can we keep this in place? And then we'll keep track of how many kids and families are taking advantage of the service.
To see if it's worth it for next year.
Correct.
So we can audit it is what we're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then with immunization, same thing. They offer a service for kids or families to come to the school. Again, they can serve up to 900 families. We don't necessarily need that. So we're paying for the service. I know at least 100 kids benefited from the service last year. Again, they don't have exact numbers for us, so I asked them if we keep this service, we'll keep track to see if it's worth continuing. The third page.
Can't kids go to Panhandle Health and get immunizations for free anyway, depending on their income?
They can go to doctors.
No, they don't give them, not here locally.
Don't they?
No, they go to Panhandle Health.
Oh, yes.
And then it's on I
They go to
believe it
different
is
offices.
income graded.
Yeah, so.
But everybody, I mean, no matter what, you have to go there to get your immunization.
So it's a service the school district has offered in the past, because there's quite a few families, well, at least 100, and we'll keep track this year better, that don't always do that. So then we get into the predicament of them not being in school or signing a waiver. So it's been a nice service to offer families. Again, it's an option we can provide them and see how many families are taking advantage of it for next year.
So we'll audit each one of these different programs to
Yeah,
see, not
to
just
see
one
the
of them, but
numbers,
all of them to
correct.
see if the numbers are right and see if
Right.
it's worth the money.
And some of them, we know the numbers. So like the growth and development class for 5th and 7th, they all get that. So that's about 125 kids.
That was the one that we were asking, that we had gotten the introduction to, I forgot the name of that program.
Wish, that's for high school.
Wish, that was for high school
eighth,
that they
eighth
couldn't
and
service is
tenth
what we heard.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the hygiene class is K4. We know those numbers. That's over 300 kids. So they go into the classrooms. That's a given. We would audit vision, scoliosis, and immunization to see is that a service we still want or need next year for our families. In terms of helping the nurses and the staff, that goes back to, which one are we looking at? J, K, L right here. So they check in on medical conditions and our action plans for our kids. And then as the PhD nurse, they will provide the training to office staff or the child's teachers for some of these conditions, such as allergic reactions, seizures, EpiPens, asthma, insulin.
So they review basically their plan
Yep, to make sure it's correct.
to make sure it's correct. So they're reviewing our school nurses and they're auditing their, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
We don't have school nurses.
So that is our school nurse that's auditing basically what they have in place.
Right.
To make sure that we have something for people with allergic reactions.
Correct. And then
If they have
training
EpiPens.
our teachers of
Okay.
that child and our office staff,
Okay.
should there be an incident.
And this is our only program that does that.
Yeah, I checked into
Okay.
that too, local, around here. So then by math, we know M, that's about 300 kids. The growth and development is about 125 students. Now they also, for our staff, will offer CPR and first aid. We only were able to reach 30 staff, so it'd be nice to see all classroom staff at least receive that training this year. That'd be 85 to 100 staff. They will also provide the Narcan training to our staff, so any staff who want to be retrained or new staff. And this QPR, that's kind of a suicide prevention. When Hank and Polly were talking, do you guys have something in place, like a CTEL now? What tools do you have for your teachers? This is one of those trainings, just very simple training. It's about an hour, but it gives our teachers a tool if they encounter or notice anything from a child.
I don't mean to back you up, but I just wanted to
Sure.
I heard you say that we have a goal of having 85 to 100 of our school
I'd like to see
employees with CPR training.
And we've got 30 so far.
Thank you.
So I want to take advantage of their offering this,
Sure.
and this is our set amount. So let's make sure we run our staff through some of these trainings that they're offering our staff.
Okay.
And then track our, how many families take advantage of the scoliosis, vision, and immunization, and we can adjust next year.
Josh, thoughts?
I don't, not right now.
Joey?
Good to go. Fine.
I'm in favor of the factor of auditing it to see what type of what we actually use of it and all. I really like taking advantage of the CPR training. That's been a big one for me, to have more staff, no matter what, having training for medical reasons with only 35 on staff. I pose that, and that's a problem in my personal opinion, but I think that there should be definitely more staff with first aid training. So I like that portion. I definitely want to see how much we use. I'm willing to do that for one more year.
Okay. Good. So, need a motion to approve it?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Okay. Need a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright,
Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah,
I
we're,
was just gonna add, it'd also be really important to hear from the secretaries and how wanting to,
I don't think it's a process of having school nurses as being a service. I think it's primary. I think it's some process of who is that service that also becomes that. And I think that's what we're all
Yeah.
kind of concerned with, making sure that we have in that. And that's, I know that is for me.
Yeah.
So I'm all about
And how
wanting to have
many kids
medical
we're
services
serving.
for our kids, no matter what. That's a big deal to me. But who is that? And what are they offering? And are there others out there? And, you know, because we all hate the fact of being like, this is your only one.
Mhm.
This is what you have to choose from. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's how I feel.
Yep.
So
okay, L, review and consider motion to amend or delete board policy 601.03, school day bell schedule.
So that
We're
got
gonna
tabled, right?
table on.
You got the bell schedules.
I'll make that motion. Sorry. To table.
Yeah,
To table it.
motion to table this
Yep.
policy.
Oh, so moved.
For a second. Aye.
I don't know.
I motioned it.
He
Beth,
motioned
I
it.
motioned
Yes,
it.
I
Now
did.
you're for the second.
Oh,
So
it was
you
a
Nice.
second. All right,
Nice.
yep. Mhm.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. M, review and consider a motion to approve board policy 2420, parent and family engagement.
I'll make a motion.
I'm not familiar with it very well. I read it a little bit, but you guys have read it before.
Sounds like good stuff.
Yeah, I didn't have any other communication with
extensive.
any patrons about it. So yeah.
Oh, I like that it's all written out in
Okay.
explicit detail.
Then I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
alright,
Opposed? Motion carries. And review and consider motion to approve, policy 8100, transportation.
Jana has a clean policy, or a clean, what it would look like if it was approved. Sometimes it's hard to read the track changes. And it's without that, paragraph about the pay board and room reimbursement.
This is the one I just read though, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It just didn't have all
This
the
is what it would look
redactions.
like without the
All
highlights and
redactions,
track
okay,
changes.
okay.
Yeah, redacted.
Yep.
And there's more legal references, see, so people can go look at the statute in reference to the policy.
So I guess we'll need a motion if anybody's ready.
I'll make a motion. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, review and consider motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
I moved. Who seconded it?
I'll second it. If I didn't, okay.
Thanks,
I don't
Jen.
know if I did.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
And
Who's this? Why was this?
Drag it out a little longer.
Why was this out?
I said
What?
9:05.
Oh,
Laying on the table.
how
trying to
much
figure
did
out.
you have money on?
I grabbed
No,
to understand that that's
she
what
wouldn't give a
we're
number.
wanting to understand why.